Hello students, good morning. Welcome back to history class. Chapter 1, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe, Part 3. In the last session, we have discussed about the French Revolution and the idea of the nation, in which we have seen how the French revolutionaries conveyed the idea of nation amongst the French people. And today we are going to learn more about the French Revolution and the idea of the nation, in which we are going to learn how did the idea of nation or nationalism spread it among the people in Europe, and what was the role of French revolutionaries to spread the idea of nation or the idea of nationalism amongst the people who lived in Europe. So, when the news of the events in France reached the different cities of Europe, students and other members of educated middle classes began setting up Jacobin clubs. As you know that Jacobin clubs was one of the most important club who took initiative for the French Revolution and the changes, political, social changes what took place in France. Jacobin clubs led the way to a new country, a new democratic country in France. So, as and when the people of Europe heard about the Jacobin clubs and their victory in France and French Revolution, the students and other members in different parts of Europe started or began setting up their own Jacobin clubs, and their activities and campaigns prepared the way for the French armies which moved it into Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, and much of the Italy in the 1790s. So these kinds of clubs which were formed in different parts of Europe, especially in Holland, Belgium, Switzerland, and much of Italy, that helped the army, French army, to move towards Belgium, towards Holland, towards Switzerland, etc. in the 1790s. When the French army moved, they took the idea of nationalism abroad. Nationalism already installed in France. So, with the outbreak of the Revolutionary Wars, when the French army moved towards different countries of Europe, they began to carry the idea of nationalism towards different nations in Europe. Through a return to monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in France, but in the administrative field, he had incorporated revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. So, after that, the monarchy came into being in France. After the French Revolution, there were democratic rulers, but it was collapsed. Then Napoleon Bonaparte came into power. But when Napoleon Bonaparte came into power, he ruled the country as a monarch. But the administrative field, he had incorporated revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational and efficient. That means equality. He promoted equality among the people, and also more efficient administrative measures were taken by Napoleon Bonaparte. One of the most important step, that was the Civil Code of 1804, usually known as the Napoleonic Code. According to this code or Civil Code of 1804, it did away all the privileges based on birth, established equality before the law, and secured the right to property. And this code was exported to the regions under French control. So Napoleon Bonaparte conquered many regions in Europe after the French Revolution, or after when he came into power. He conquered many nations or areas or regions in Europe. So whichever the regions he conquered, he introduced the measures what the civil code what he installed in France. In the Dutch Republic, In Switzerland, in Italy, and Germany, Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system, and freed the peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. That was the reason why we say that Napoleon, no doubt, he destroyed democracy, but his policies and administrative measures, what he took in France and even in different parts of Europe, it was acceptable, you know. And he abolished the feudal system and freed the peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. And in the towns also, guild restrictions were removed, transport and communication system were improved. Peasants, artisans, workers, and new businessmen in Europe enjoyed a new found freedom. So, businessmen and small scale producers of goods in particular began to realize that uniform laws, standardized weights and measures, and a common national currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. That means, in administrative level, you know, the Napoleon Bonaparte, you know, were accepted, the people accepted him and his policies accepted. So these are the things you have to learn from this topic. Thank you.